Zack Snyder continuing to break his silence about all the craziness going on with Ann Sarnoff and WB. What's next for the Snyderverse on the other side? Welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show, everyone. James Kincaid alongside John Craig. And once again, we are talking hashtag Restore the Snyderverse, hashtag cancel Ann Sarnoff. Is that one trended yet?
I don't know, but I got to say the first step and the most important step you can take to restoring the Snyderverse is to like this video.
Absolutely. Great point. Like this video. You're doing the Lord's work. You're doing Zack Snyder's work. If you like this video.
Our Lord and Savior, Zack.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, I was joking in our Discord, by the way, bestdamnnerdshow.com/Discord, about like the Martha scene in Batman v Superman. And it's like, it's before this whole thing started, it's not like I was some sort of worshiper. It's just, I didn't know how bad it could get. So yeah, let's bring back the guy that actually had at least a decent to good plan, you know? And after seeing what I thought was a, decent movie in the 2017 Justice League, I was like, oh, the Snyder Cut, like, actually, that's a great movie. And seeing what he had, with parameters, if you edit it down a little bit, but, but with somebody that actually wanted to sort of bring out the best of you as opposed to the worst. But Zack Snyder, he has given some more interviews. And this first one, I'm going to read some quotes from Zachy, and I'm sure we'll throw them up there as well. But this coming from the Sunday Times. I was more worried. And so basically the crux of it, before I get into it, Zack Snyder was afraid that WB would sue him for supporting the Snyder Cut movement. So I was more worried the studio would sue me, do something to silence me, when he was asked about release the Snyder Cut movement. Though initially quiet, Snyder began to share snippets of his Justice League movie online, and stars like Ray Fisher, Ben Affleck, and Gal Gadot publicly called for the release of the Snyder Cut. Wow. So, and then he went on to say, here's the reality. The fandom raised $750,000 for suicide prevention and mental health awareness when he was asked about the fandom's reputation for toxicity. So once again, when asked about toxic fandom and painting a vocal, angry minority that we do not support with this broad brush, that's the fandom, Zack Snyder, rightfully, because he uses logic, pumps the brakes on that, supports the fans when Ann Sarnoff says F the fans, and points out, again, they raised almost $1 million for suicide prevention. So, looking out of everything that came out from that Geeks and Gamers and stuff like that, the further we get away from that, the more I'm convinced that was just a loaded gun pointed at Zack Snyder. And that he was not trying to paint them as some sort of hate group. But be that as it may, he's now on multiple occasions come out to support the fandom and everything like that, and pointing out those numbers. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think I've said this before, but it's easy when you make a mistake, or you do bad work, or you make bad decisions. In the case of Ann Sarnoff, to just paint all your critics as toxic.
Yeah,
everyone
it's low-hanging fruit. It's a buzzword she probably heard in one meeting and is now just using it as a crutch as an excuse for everything.
And there's no argument that anyone can make against it, because if you're being critical, it's easy to associate that with toxicity. But in reality, the bad decisions are what is toxic. The bad work is what is toxic. The bad leadership of this company is what is toxic. The canceling of the Snyderverse is what is toxic. That shit is toxic. Well, I know we spend all this time talking about toxic fandom. Let's talk about toxic leadership. Okay? How about you give consumers what they want to watch? Oh, what a novel idea. We're all begging you to give us stuff that we want to watch. And you keep turning us away. Well, that's toxic, dude. That's toxic.
I hate that word, but what's toxic is the suppression of the actual numbers of what the Snyder Cut did on HBO Max, and those are now just coming to the surface on how well it did. God. But he gave another interview. This was coming via a YouTube show called Jake's Takes. So shout out to Jake's Takes. I would think about it. So he was asked about, if fans should maintain hope for the Restore the Snyderverse movement. And so when asked about whether or not, we should maintain hope for that, he said, I would think about it this way. Yes, Warner Brothers has been aggressively anti-Snyder, if you will. And that's what can you say? What can I say? Clearly they're
toxically anti-Snyder.
Clearly they're not interested in my take, but I would also say that they certainly weren't interested in my take on Justice League. They certainly made decisions about that, and I love the characters, and I love the worlds. I think it's an amazing place to make a movie. It's a glorious IP, so there's that. I don't know what could be done as you go forward, other than I think the fan movement is so strong, and the fan community is the intention is so pure, and I really have huge respect for it. I would hope that cooler heads would prevail with Warner Brothers, and that they would see that there's this massive fandom that wants more of that. But who knows what they'll do, dude?
Yeah.
I aggressively, he is just like pulling no punches anymore. I mean, why should he? I mean, it's not like I don't think that him saying this is going to really hurt his chances. If anything, I think he has like such a sort of a stronger position, because he's just letting this sort of grassroots organic movement carry him. Yeah. And he's already said they're aggressively anti-Snyder, and they were aggressively anti his take on Justice League. And that came out because of the fans and all the support behind it. And it's not just the fans now, but you people like The Rock and stuff like that, who are Henry Cavill, who want to see it happen. I would argue that most of the cast of the Justice League would rather see that happen, as opposed to the continuing on, maybe say, I don't know, Joss Whedon's vision, which every day more and more about how he was acting. You want to talk about toxic. Him threatening Gal Gadot's career and the accusations that Ray Fisher is levying at him. So, why would you want to sort of sweep Zack Snyder under the rug when you have that pariah hanging over you? I don't know, but I mean, interesting comments to say the least, though.
It is. I mean, there's a lot to unpack with all this. And I think, it honestly, the more vocal he gets, I feel like the more strain is going to be put on his relationship with Warner Brothers, to the extent that, it might be damaged beyond repair at a certain point. And this movement will, while yes, it will show everyone that there's a lot of support for Restore to the Snyderverse, it will also ensure that it can never happen because of that divide. The only thing that I think could work in his favor is if AT&T came in and just cleaned house.
That's
line him up, firing squad, dude. Bah, bah, bah. You know
like Ari Gold with the paintball gun.
Clean house, dude. Heads will roll, baby. AT&T needs to come in here and fucking clean up that act.
I
let
think
HBO Max run the whole operation, dude. They're the only ones making sense anymore.
That's the press release. I mean, that's the AT&T relieves Ann Sarnoff of her duties, and probably
Mom
Walter
and Dad need to step
and some other people and stuff like that. So you get these releases, and then probably within 48 hours, it's the sort of welcoming back into the fold of Zack Snyder and finishing up. And I could see it happening.
Make Zack Snyder the head of theatrical at DC. You know what I mean? Like put him in charge. Yeah. Let him execute this vision. Clearly, he's doing something that people want to watch, and something that could potentially compete with the MCU. Maybe not in terms of volume, but in terms of quality. I think maybe it could eventually exceed it if there was someone with vision in charge. But I say let him work directly with HBO Max and just let all the heads roll that have ever uttered a single email or single word. We're checking the logs, motherfuckers. We're going through your databases.
Listen, it's been a while since DC was the coolest kids at the party, and the Snyder cut was that, and Ann Sarnoff wanted to cut it off at the knees. So I think the big bosses need to come in there, and that's why I think that Zack Snyder's saying these things and being honest. He's not he's also in these responses very measured. He's not doesn't come off bitter. He's quick to thank the fans. He's even recently been quick to sort of praise certain other things that they're going to be doing in the DC universe that don't involve him, but he's just being honest. And I think it's keeping the fire sort of stoked. It's keeping it, on the forefront. And so it's buying the time for the big wigs at AT&T to be like, okay, we're going to, like, this has gone too far. So I think it's really the smart play. He might not, get any Christmas cards from Ann Sarnoff or Walter Hamada or whomever. Who cares? This is the play to make. So I think that in terms of hope for Restore the Snyderverse, I think it's going to happen. I really do. I don't see Ann Sarnoff lasting for the long haul in the face of just this wave of criticism that she's being hit with, and it's this wave of positivity and desire for to finish off these movies.
Yeah.
They're not even my favorite set of superhero films,
Dude,
but now I'm invested in it.
Get that toxicity out of Warner Brothers, dude. Bring in the positivity.
Suck it out like a poison.
Bring in the positivity, the positive fandom that has come around. the Restore The Snyderverse. Dude, I'm telling you, we our whole bent should just be anyone who is like defensive in any way is just toxic. But at the end of the day,
turn
it's
around
like,
on them. Hashtag cancel Ann Sarnoff.
Totally, Ann Sarnoff is toxic, dude. But at the end of the day, I do mean that. Like what she's doing is toxic. It's toxic for the entire culture at Warner Brothers and the entire culture within DC and DC's IP and content. Like we're gonna get rid of the only thing that's worked in the last decade, and then what? Like what's the plan? And like you're not really
no plan.
Yeah, you're not really giving us a lot of hope. Like
her plan was Zatanna, which again, a fine character. Like, come on, like we're gonna have them on like lunch boxes and video games. They already are. They have been our entire lives. All right. But anyway, hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. Hashtag cancel Ann Sarnoff. As always, Nerd Show prevails. Thanks so much for watching this far, Nerdosphere. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check us out on Discord, bestdamnnerdshow.com/Discord. And if you want to help us bring the positivity back to fandom and, exit like a vile poison, the toxicity of Ann Sarnoff, our Patreon, bestdamnnerdshow.com/Patreon, so we can keep fighting the good fight. Appreciate all your support.